Hey students, this is week 5. I want you to skip lesson 2.8. After I put it on the syllabus, I saw this big note in my book that says, don't do this lesson. The reason is the directions get really complicated. So the main thing you needed to know from lesson 2.8 was how to estimate. And we will talk more about that when we come back to class in a couple weeks. For now, I want you to get lesson 2.9 notes out. That's from week 5 notes. I need you to get your book opened up to page 66, get a pencil and paper ready, and pause this right now if you need to go get those things. Okay, if you've got everything ready, let's look at your notes first. In your notes it says to solve what kind of problems you often need to translate sentences into equations. Okay, what kind of problems are we talking about here? We're talking about word problems. Okay, so just fill in. We're talking about solving word problems. Okay, there's certain steps we need to go about to solve word problems, but to get to that point, we've already talked about the 4-point checklist in chapter 1. To get to that point, we need to be able to translate words into number sentences when we're talking about equations. An equation is anything with an equal sign. Okay, first we're going to read the sentence carefully, okay, and think about the meaning of each and every phrase in it. Next, you're going to choose a variable, that's either x or y, something like that, to represent the unknown values. Then finally, you're going to write an equation to express the conditions in the sentence. If you look in the book at example 1, it's on page 66, and example 1 says, write an equation for the sentence. A number increased by 3 is 16. I heard increased by, and I know that means multiplication. I heard a number, which I know is something we don't know because they didn't tell us what number. So we're going to use some sort of variable. I'm going to put an x here. I think the book probably uses an n, and that's fine. A number increased by 3 is 16. Anytime you hear the word is in math, it means equals. Okay, so this is the equation that we will write from that word phrase. A number increased by 3 is 16. Okay, now it doesn't ask us to do this in this problem, but just because I know some of you need some more help in solving equations, I'm going to talk this one through with you. If you're looking at this as an equation that you need to solve for x, you'll start by saying what has been done to x. It has been added. It's been added by 3. To undo that, you're going to subtract 3. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. We want these 3's to cancel so that x is by itself on the left side of the equal sign, and then we do 16 minus 3, and that is 13. Now I have x equals 13. If I want to check to make sure this is correct, you take the value of 13 and put it back up here. 13 plus 3, does that equal 16? Yes. So it's correct. Okay? All right, look at page 67 at the top of it. There's another example. It says write an equation for the sentence. $19 is the result of dividing the cost of a tennis racket by 3. Okay, let's talk about what we've heard. I see the word is, that instantly sticks out in my head that I have something equals something else, and 19 comes before it, so 19 is the result of dividing the cost by 3. We don't know what the cost is, so that's going to be our variable. So I'm going to say the cost of the tennis racket, I'll call that C, divided by 3. Okay? So I have the cost divided by 3 is 19. Now if I wanted to find out how much did the tennis racket actually cost, I would multiply both sides by 3. Those cancel, and I would have the cost equals 57. That's what you'd get when you multiply those. $57 was the cost of the tennis racket. Now, just so you have the correct answers for the skill check, I am going to write these here for you. You can pause this if you need to. I want you to go through the skill check and make sure that you're doing them correct. But skill check number 1 is 9 over 19 equals 3. You could use that division sign, but we want to get away from it. We want to write it over for division. Okay? Number 2 is n plus 18 equals 31. Number 3, n minus 23 equals 6. Number 4, 78 equals 6n. Number 5, n plus 8 equals 26. And number 6, 61 minus n equals 38. Just so you know, when your parents are grading this, even though the book has used n for all of these variables, you could use whatever letter you wanted to for these variables. Okay, you could use x or y or t or s. It's a little confusing to use a t, and we've talked about this because of that plus sign. Okay, that is it for lesson 2.9.